Hey, this is Coach G. Welcome to Unbreakable. This is video 4 of a 4-part video series where we are in the initial stages, step 1 of developing your elite mindset. In the first video, we dealt with the 3 C's, the foundation. In video number 2, we talked about confidence and how to build sustainable, authentic confidence. In video number 3, we talked about how to build your mindset bank account, specifically your savings account. Okay? Today we're going to talk about emotions as fuel. So this whole process that we've been working on so far, I want you to imagine it something like this. Your body is a vehicle, okay? This is your performance vehicle. Your mind is the navigation system, and your emotions are the fuel. So we've been talking about putting the right mindset together to navigate yourself from where you are to where you want to go efficiently and effectively at an elite level. Now we're going to start talking about the emotions and that you can do the same thing with your emotions. So think about it like this. You wouldn't put jet fuel in a lawnmower engine the same as you wouldn't put gas in a diesel engine. So what I'm saying to you is there's 2 things you need to remember. Number 1 is that your specific fuel is very inherent to you and is probably different than most others' fuel. And number 2, if you are running a fuel that is not inherent to your system, then it's changeable. Okay? So we're going to start talking about the introduction to these ideas and how to do some of this stuff. So let me share my screen and we're going to get started. All right. So becoming unbreakable, in other words, having that elite mindset that you can rely on all the time, requires mastering all elements. And here are the elements that we really put into play that you will rely on. Believing in yourself, okay? Knowing who you are and trusting that. That is a belief system that you have to create. Plus your physical training, your coaches will cover that. Plus your elite mindset, your navigation system, I will cover that. And plus emotional mastery. Again, you and I are going to cover that. Equals the best version of you. Okay? So, most training programs focus heavily on physical training and somewhat on mindset, but very few address emotional mastery. Emotional mastery is not shoving emotions away. Emotional mastery is not boxing them up and dealing with them later. This is possibly the most powerful performance enhancer available. When you know what inherent emotions that your body and your mind specifically run best on, and you become sensitive to know when you're not running those and the ability to change them out, think about the possibilities here. So the performance connection, thoughts, emotions, and physical performance are interconnected. Your body is a high performance engine with the right fuel. Okay, and this is your navigation system plus, okay, your emotional fuel. You are easily able to achieve peak performance in any moment in time. With the wrong kind of fuel, then you have a compromised performance. And we're going to talk more about some of the stuff that we uncovered in the very first video that we did, the 3 C's. So the physical impact of negative emotions, okay? And this is where we are going to start remembering and reminding ourselves of that. Remember, you don't want to be in a mental drunkenness state, which is what happens if you're running the wrong thought processes along with the wrong emotions that are not inherent to you, that are putting this film. Remember, you can still drive a car inebriated, but you cannot drive it well. You cannot rely on and trust that you're going to get it down the road. Your reaction times are different. you're not seeing things very clearly. All right. So when we start talking about emotions, we're saying things like one of the biggest killers is fear and anxiety. So when it comes to the elite female athlete, we're talking fear and anxiety oftentimes get in the way. Anxiety in itself causes increased muscle tension, diverted mental resources, slowed reaction time up to 15%. Again, remember, this was that slide in video number 1 where I talked about take a look at all of these things. You are, without knowing what your mindset is, without constructing your thoughts specifically for you, and without running the right kind of fuel, you're basically operating your body in an inebriated state. Okay? You have diminished coordination. You play conservatively, not aggressively. There's hesitation that goes on. You're not willing to take on the possibility of new tasks, oftentimes in the middle of a performance that you've been working on, but they're new to you. You're not going to do it. You're going to shove them in your back pocket and say, I'll do it next time. Your brain releases cortisol and stress hormones that directly interfere with motor control. Your motor is out of control. So where do performance limiting emotions come from? Often, very, very often, they are rooted in past experiences, okay? And almost always they are past experiences, okay? Our brains are pattern recognition machines. When you face a situation similar to one where you experienced pain or embarrassment or some sort of emotion failure, oftentimes is one of those emotions, your brain says, I recognize this pattern and let's avoid it altogether because you didn't like the way it felt and I didn't like the way you acted. Okay? So let's take a look at what a typical cycle would look like. So here's a pattern recognition cycle. We're going to start down here at the bottom under current situation. Now, you can take a look at it like this. If you've had, let's go over to the left side first because we need to talk about the negative and then we can talk about the positive. So if you've had a negative experience in the past, and listen, this could be, and I'm going to give you some examples here in a minute, but it doesn't necessarily have to be inside athletics, okay, to start to create patterns that pop up in athletics. It doesn't mean it has to be an athletic experience. It could be a personal experience, a social experience. You could have went through a bad breakup. You could have had a car wreck. You could have had an injury. You could have had a fight with someone. You could have had like any other, any experiences could create a pattern that you begin making adjustments that you don't realize adjustments that you're making, and they start causing you problems down the line. So if this happens, you have a past negative experience, it pops up, okay, you go into protection mode, and then all of these negative emotions, because of the similarities, start to run and say, hey, let's pay attention. We don't want to do this anymore. We anticipate the same result, and therefore you enter this physical limitation because you have the wrong fuel. And the fuel is what happens after the mind clicks in and is identifying that this is a similar situation. Here's the fuel that we originally ran in the original situation that now we're being reminded by, and that's what produces the physical limitations. Now, on the flip side of that, we go over and we have no experience whatsoever in something, or we have a really positive experience, and then we have the expectation that we're going to have a positive result. So now we start thinking about, yeah, this is really going to happen because it happened last time, and then you start running these emotions, these positive emotions, and all of a sudden when it comes down to the execution of the physical body, you're relaxed, you're in flow, you're having a good time, and it becomes a lot easier. So you can look at this left side as just being a tight, knotted up mess that you're trying to avoid and resist and feeling all these emotions you're not able to operate, and on the other side you're moving free. It's easy and it's fun. So here's an example. An athlete misses a crucial shot and experiences shame or letdown or failure or all of the above, okay? Next season, in a similar moment, the brain recognizes the pattern and says, oh no, That was freaking miserable for months. We're not doing that again. Hesitation, hesitation. Coach, I don't think that's a good plan. Give it to somebody else, blah, 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 right? You didn't deal with the first one, but you didn't know how to deal with the first one. Okay, so I'm going to give you a starter process, like kind of like a little shortcut on how to begin to deal with it. Okay, and then you go into self-judgment. Body cannot move with freedom when carrying this emotional baggage. Mental clarity, we've already talked about this again. If you have the wrong types of emotions, if you're looking through the veil of past experiences, your clarity is like being in a mentally drunken state. Okay? Self-belief dissipates and physical movements feel forced, choppy, etc. So this is just to kind of get you started a little bit, the emotions transformation chart. This is just to help you identify some of the primary emotions you'll see over on the left-hand side of anger, fear, pain, loneliness, shame, and guilt. You're going to experience a lot of the first two and a lot of the last two, and you're going to experience some in the middle. Okay, depending on your experiences and how long you've been an elite athlete. Okay, so the middle column, if left unchecked, what those things can turn into. Now there's one emotion that's not on here. And I want you to know that you can plug and play it in almost every one of the primary emotions and every one of the unchecked emotions, and that's frustration. It's kind of a byproduct of all of those, right? So if you feel angry for long enough, you're eventually going to feel frustrated. All right. If you feel fear long enough, you're eventually going to feel frustrated. It doesn't always happen in that cycle, but just plug and play fear into any one of these situations. So if left unchecked, anger turns to rage, fear, panic, paranoia, anxiety, all of these other things, okay? Now, if we go over here and we look in the third column, what we're seeing is that when you transform it by using specific methodology, okay, when you transform it, this is the byproduct that you receive. So if you're angry about something and that's turned into frustration and everything else, what you can expect to get out of it is you're going to build your strength back up when you deal with the anger. Your strength is going to build back up mentally and emotionally. You're going to have more energy to move, and your motivation is going to be higher because of that freedom. Okay? And on down the line as you look at all of these. And again, you can always pause this video and rewatch it, kind of take some notes or take a screenshot, whatever works for you. All right. 5-step transformation process. Again, let me explain this. This is not a limiting process. This is not a comprehensive either. This is the beginning stages. So first, you have to detect that you're feeling some sort of emotion in your body, okay, in your physical vehicle, right? Recognize what emotion you're experiencing. Then give it a name based on the emotions list that I gave you. Now, if you have a lot of, experience with emotions, there may be other specific emotions that these primary emotions don't really take into consideration. But if that's you, plug and play into this 5-step process, okay? Locate it. Where are you feeling it in your body? Like, pay attention. Are you feeling it in your throat, your chest, your back, your head? Where are you feeling it? Are your legs feeling weak? Like, what's happening? So when I say accept, I do not mean accept it, end of story, that's who you are. Sorry. That's not what I'm saying there. Acceptance means that you don't fight or judge yourself. You don't say, gosh dang it, why am I feeling this? I can't believe I'm feeling this. You're weak. Stop being weak. Okay? Don't fight with it. Why are you showing up? I hate you. I don't want you to be here. Don't fight with the thing. Okay? But deal with it. So transform is consciously shifting to a positive version. I told you it was a very short process that I was taking you through in order to cover everything I want to cover right now. But if you're feeling one of these, okay, identify the first, you got to feel it in your body. You got to know it doesn't feel right. Then you go to, what is this? It's probably one of these, okay? Could already be one of these. Identify it so you know what it is, okay? Step number 2. Where is it? Identify where you're feeling in your body because you want to become more aware of yourself, aware when you're feeling good versus when you're not feeling good so that you can change it. I remember I talked about the C number one and the three C's, getting conscious. Okay, now if you simply go over here and say, okay, this is the transformation if I go through the entire process, if I follow the Unbreakable format and clean up the entire process and go back and heal all the stuff that I need to get healed, right? For anything that's ever happened to me, this is what I'm going to feel. Well, I'm going to bypass it really quickly and I'll go back once I take the program and I will learn how this process goes and I'll heal everything. But right now I'm going to jump ahead to valuing myself. If I'm feeling shame, I'm going to find something of value that I have and I'm going to remind myself of that. Okay? I'm going to acknowledge that I have skills and tools. There's nothing to be shameful about. So you're going to skip ahead. You're going to go from here or here to here, and you're going to use your navigation system and your bank account to remind yourself, hey, I'm all right. I'm all right for right now. I can pull it together. And then I can completely pull it together when I learn how the long process works and go back and handle all of this stuff. Okay? So that's basically consciously shift into the positive version. Okay. So let's use an example. Okay. So a swimmer feels frustrated because they're not meeting target times. Okay. Well, first thing I would say is, are your target times actually realistic and logical? But after that, we're just going to say that, yep, her coach is just putting some really good target times for her. She should be able to reach it, but she's struggling right now. Okay. So she has a workout. She's like, way off her target. She jumps out of the pool, she goes into the shower, and she's like, really feeling bad about this, right? And she identifies it, she feels it. She's like, man, I'm feeling heavy. I feel all this stuff coming up for me. I just hate the fact that I'm going through this. Why can't I make myself better? Why are my times getting worse instead of getting better? I'm so freaking frustrated. She's basically answering all the questions, right? She detected it. She's like, man, I feel heavy in my chest, right? I'm so disappointed. And then she goes into, man, I'm really frustrated. She knows what the emotion is. It's frustrated. She's probably also angry and probably feeling a little depressed about it too. She's locating it. It's in her chest. She's feeling tight in the chest. She hates the way it feels. She even feels it on the back of her neck and her shoulders because it feels pretty heavy. And she's like, yeah, I'm really feeling this. And I understand why I'm feeling it because I'm an elite athlete and I expect a lot of myself and I have goals, right? But I need to understand that I may be pushing myself a little too hard and I need to use my data points. This isn't failure. These are data points. Am I really pushing myself too hard? Do I need to back off? Do I need to reorganize or re-regulate some of the things that I'm working on in order to get the results I want? And maybe I need to have a conversation with coach and say, hey man, like things are not going the way that we want them to go. We're going the opposite direction. Okay. So maybe we should reorganize. Maybe I need to take a week off and rest. Maybe I need to, get my mind off of training and go do something else. Maybe we need to adjust my, physical calories, carbohydrate intake, pre-workout, post-workout. Maybe I need to take the Unbreakable program. Maybe I need to do something else. But whatever the case is, we need to change something. So you're willing to acknowledge and accept without beating yourself up. You're looking for solutions, and that's all good. Okay? And that basically talked about the accept and the transform step of it. Okay? So a mindset example. I don't want to make mistakes and let others down. This is so freaking common, right? Transformation. All right, well, I'm feeling really nervous. I don't want the ball in my hands right now. I'm feeling really nervous. Okay, because I don't want to let my team down. I've got 2 seniors on my team that this could be their last game. I don't want that responsibility. I don't want to let them down. Okay, so you're afraid of disappointing others. Where are you feeling it? Like everywhere. Like I feel like I can't even see straight right now. Okay, well, that's the kind of mental drunkenness you're going through. I totally get it. This is normal because you have a lot of anxiety and fear running through you, okay? So you're like, hey, I really want to perform well. I don't want to let the seniors down. I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let my coach down. I don't want to let my team down. Okay, yes, I totally get that. However, why don't we just work on the mindset that whatever happens, it's a growth cycle for us all. We're all in this together, okay? You're not the savior of this team. You're one part, one cog in the wheel. Let's take the pressure off a little bit, okay? And finally, this energy shows how much I care, and I can channel it into focus action. Now, going back to that other step, that other story about being a cog in the wheel and stuff, once you take the program, that should never happen again. You should never be in a position where that pops up in a game, okay? Because you've handled all your stuff already. This should never, ever, ever happen. So this isn't like, oh, I'm going to have to deal with this kind of process for every single game that I play for the rest of my life. No, that's the whole point of taking the program. That's the whole point of doing this stuff, is that you don't want to have to deal with it. That should never be something that enters your mind moving forward. All right. Once you understand the process, your navigation system, and how to plug in exactly your directions on your navigation system, because you have the foundation of the 4 C's, everything working together. Okay. So the Unbreakable challenge I'm giving you this week is to practice emotional detection and transformation. Again, choose one emotion that typically appears in your training. Use the 5-step process. Go back and take notes or take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. And once you recognize it and you come up with a good substitute for it and say, hey, no, we're not going to do this. This isn't going to work for us. Then you have to remember that that is a win for you that goes into your Unbreakable savings account and starts to accrue interest. And emotions are energy in motion. Learn to use them as performance fuel and get to know what emotions that you and your body need in order to operate at an elite performance level. Okay? And this is a step-by-step process. You'll start to learn what it is. So the complete equation is believing in yourself plus physical training plus elite mindset plus emotional mastery is the best version of you, which then the execution of your elite performance becomes more obvious and more consistent. The right emotional fuel is the power in your physical tank. You have to make sure that you're running the fuel, and you can learn this through getting to know yourself over time and through experiences, or you can learn it in the Unbreakable program. All right, choice is yours. All right, so the idea is, with this specifically, in the program we go into depth, and we uncover specific fuels that work for you, okay, that elicit the best results. That's the first thing. We go back and we rewrite every story that has produced a negative emotion that's putting the wrong fuel in your tank. We rewrite those, and it's hard to explain how it works, but it works. And that way you're running the right. It's like having a break in your fuel line. Okay, those stories are creating breaks in your fuel line. Therefore, you're not getting the right kind of fuel or the right amount of fuel. So we go through and we replace and repair the fuel lines, and that's the best way I can tell you about how to rewrite the story. Okay, and then we make sure that you're running the right fuel and that you have a process where, if you find yourself, in a unexpected circumstance, and again with the last slide I said, hey, once you do the work and once you take the program and you go through all of the processes, you should never show up at a performance, at a competition, at a game, no matter what level it is, no matter what the stakes are, with any kind of a pressure situation that you cannot fully handle because you have in your pocket all of this experience and you've done all this work on yourself already. Yes, there will be a little bit of fine tuning, but that'll be like a step 1, step 2, step 3, which you will also gain inside the program as well. You'll have a 3-step process where anytime anything unexpected happens, or you're dealing with team emotions or coach emotions or fan emotions, and you just need to separate yourself from that for a minute to remember what you're supposed to do, right? You totally will have the ability to do that. Okay. Then you're operating clearly. It's like going, and washing your vehicle. So remember that drunken mental mindset. It's like going and washing your vehicle and having that, the running the right fuel, running the right navigation system. You just go to the car wash, you wash your vehicle, and the entire windshield becomes clean again. You know exactly where you're going. You have the fuel to get there, and your body is ready to perform at an elite level consistently over time. So again, I'm going to tell you the same thing I've told you with every video, and the same thing I'm always going to tell you, which is this. Go to the website, go halfway down the first page, read the mission statement. If it speaks to you, fantastic. There's no reason why you shouldn't join the program. If it doesn't, then everything that I've given you in the last 4 videos has been a pay it forward to you. Use what you can out of it. And I really, really hope that it helps your performance. It helps to elevate you into the next level. Okay. There's the website, unbreakablementalstrength.com. Again, go have a look. If it works for you, great. I can't wait to work with you. These are live coaching calls, by the way, so we're going to be working live inside the program. And then you'll have the recordings, just like you can rewatch this video. You'll be able to do that as well with the Unbreakable program. So go have a look. If it's something that speaks to you, can't wait to see you. If not, I hope this really helps, and I wish you the best on your athletic venture, in your career, and in this next season. Now take care.